Welcome to my channel, Mixed Media Creations. Hi, it's me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. Today we have an art journal tutorial, step-by-step process video, telling you all the inside tips and tricks. If you want to support my channel, you can shop through my Amazon influencer links, or you can click on the PayPal link. Both of these are in the description box below. Want to support my channel another way? Hit the subscribe button. Share this video with your creative friends. Welcome to my channel. As you can see, I'm getting ready to do some gel printing. And I am going to be playing with my 8x10 gel plate and my TCW soft body paint. So I have two 8x10 plates, and you'll see how I'm using them, and I'm going to brayer off on that sheet on the side. So I'm really curious to see how these paints mix and how they work on the gel plate since they are brand new to me. So today I'm going to be using a selection of stencils from the 2019 January release from TCW, and these are all created by designer Julie Fay-Fan Balzer. And I've listed the names of the stencils as well as the colors that I've used because that's the feedback that you've given. I'm also going to be adding some marks using some of my DIY mark making tools. Although admittedly, a lot of that is done off camera. And for the most part, I'm going to be using just regular copy paper. So this is raspberry sorbet and kale smoothie. And when you mix these colors together, you get a lovely purpley blue hydrangea kind of color. So I'm grabbing this stencil, and this is dashed triangle, and I'm pulling paint through the stencil here, and this I'll just build up. Now that's what it would look like if I'm stenciling, putting paint with a makeup sponge through the stencil. Then when you have lots of paint on your stencil, you can just print it off and you'll get a bit of a ghost print there. And don't forget, you're going to keep adding layers. So this is just the first layer. Some of these beginning layers, there are hints of them that you're going to see. And I will show pictures at the end of some of the finished products. And there I pull that one. Now my goal really isn't to get perfect prints. I want to build texture and have pattern and interest on these papers so I can use them in my collaging. So if you roll it off, then you rest it so that the roller isn't touching the paper, because if it dries, that could stick to the roller, and then you have a cleanup job to do. So a lot of the time, what you want to do is get a base coat of color or a mixture of colors. And that's just the beginning layer. And then you're going to put pattern on that. And that's what we have here. Although there's already starting to build up some crusty bits, and that's showing through. And that's what I love to get when I use the gel plate. So this is grape jelly, and it is a blue shade of dioxazine purple. And I love that. The original one that I bought was a bluer shade, and then I'm just adding some pattern on top of that base coat. And I love this. I love that pattern, and it's going to go really well for the project that I am creating these gel prints for. I have a very definite project. It's a class that I'm teaching, and you'll see what it'll be in a bit. I'm just adding layers. And if you add a layer and you don't like it, then you just add another layer. There really is no right or wrong. Now here's the project that I am doing these gel prints for. They're going to be cups. So I kind of have an idea of what I want and what colors that I want to get. So that's kind of dictated where I'm going with these gel prints and the look that I'm going for. So depending on how you're using your gel prints will determine this. Now, right here, I am using some planner pages from an old planner. And while it fits, two of them fit perfectly on the 8x10, and I think I'll be coming back to this project, I am going to not do any more of this during this printing session, as just even laying them out and letting them dry becomes a problem. But it was kind of in the middle of the video, so I left it in because otherwise you'd wonder, well, what happened with that color? So you can often pull off one print with the wetter paint and then get a ghost print with the next one, and that's what you see here. And look at all this interest. And I'm loving this look for the cups because I don't want a definite pattern. So this is Faithful Tree, and the top part of it is just some lovely texture and pattern. And this pattern here that you just saw, it ends up being kind of buried by upcoming things that I do to it. So you don't really see it. So you won't see this in the end, and somehow that stencil got set to the side and I never came back to it. So again, you can do the one print, you can pull out the paint through it, you can do the first pull and then the ghost print. If your paint is wet enough. I really like the idea here of adding white to whatever color I'm using. It gives a really nice effect and then allows you to use different shades of the same color as well. So here I'm doing a base print, which is just the color. And there is some pattern and interest right off the bat just because I've mixed colors. And just adding a little bit more there. It pushes back the dash triangle stencil a little bit. And as I said, I will be showing these prints at the end. I will do a short video and talk about and let you know which stencil is really highlighted. So this is script words, and I love this stencil, and you're going to see why it works so well on the gel plate. Now, because I'm putting this on top, I'm getting the reverse, and I'm okay with that because I really don't want it to be readable. There is a way that you can make it so that it is readable. If I was actually stenciling through it, they would be readable, and I could do that if I want it, but based on what my project plan is, I'm good with just having that pattern, I guess. So you can still see some of it on the gel plate. My Fitbit's telling me I should get up and walk. And I love when it's that ghost print and it's that grungy look. I'm thinking with the script words, using black on some of the backgrounds that I already have, whether it's just color or whether there is some pattern there. I'm thinking that's just going to add just one more layer of interest. And some of these prints, if I wasn't using it for the coffee cups or the teacups, they would make absolutely wonderful instant backgrounds that all you have to do is cut out and put on the ATC or iCAD or an art journal page that they fit on. So you can see how the paint has been removed and you can see the words there. Now, you should let this dry a little bit before putting the next layer so the colors don't mix. I, of course, did not do that, but I'm thinking you got good contrast here with the pink and the black, a favorite color combo. And I'm just putting that down. And when you do this and you want it to lift up what's underneath, sometimes you have to give that a little bit more time. And there you can see, and you just have that hint of the words. I love that color combination. I love the little hint of the words. I think that's going to look awesome. But as you can see, there's lots of crusty bits left on the plate. Now, you can clean your plate at any given time. I actually like those things. They add a lot of interest and they also make it absolutely impossible to get another print exactly like it because every print has a little bit of the history of the plate on it. So I just peek under when I'm trying to get those crusty bits. I peek under and see what's happening. Now I can still see the script words on there. That really didn't get picked up, but I got some absolutely lovely grunge and crusty bits. So this is Stone Increase. And I'm not ready to use it because I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to try to pull off the script words. I can see it on the plate, so sometimes when you apply a light color or a dark color, something that's going to contrast, you want to be able to see what's on the plate with through that color because the color will be the background for whatever is underneath it. So this takes a little bit of time and I actually turn off the camera and let it sit for a while before I peel it off, which I didn't give it that much time. And you can see it takes a bit of doing to peel it off, but oh my word, look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. And every stencil that I've used and every bit of crusty bit paint came out. So we still have some crusty bits on there, and that's okay. If it bothers you, clean it up with a baby wipe, spray a little water, baby wipe, that's all I ever really use. So I'm starting just getting some base color down on some sheets, and then you can add those interesting layers. This one's Stone Increase, and it has bigger opening spots. So I'm taking my shelf liner and I'm pressing into that, and that's going to give pattern inside of the bigger openings. And that's something you can do with any stencil that has bigger openings. So I put this on the pink here, and I wasn't happy right now. It got very, very dark, not at all what I was going for. And then I realized, well, if you mix the pink and the green, the kale smoothie together when it's wet, it makes kind of a purpley bluish tone. But if it's dry on dry or wet on dry, it's just going to go on dark, and that's what you see. Loving this ghost print. And that's why paint is all over all my everything that I craft with. And I'm sticking two colors that go well together. Those are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, especially when it's wet. So I'm pulling the paint through the stencil. Now some people throw this away. I don't. I just use it to add layers. You could put that on if you had a colored background. So that's why it's a good idea to get a colored background. Love the ghost print for the second print pull through there. So now here's the first pull. And loving that. I just, I think some of those shapes are going to look awesome on an art journal page. Or I could use these gel prints as the uh, first layer. Instant background. Gel printing I find so relaxing, so um, freeing, because I just, after a while, after the first few pulls, I just get into it and I'm just putting color down and having fun. There I'm just adding layers. So we've got some purple, we've got some yellow. It's not done yet. This stencil is called Texture Love, and there is nothing about this that I don't love. All the different patterns on here. I had too much wet paint, so I'm just pressing it off onto the paper. And if I didn't say it before, I am going to put a link to the video where I show how to remove paint from stencils, whether they're fresh, like the ones after a gel printing session, and I recommend cleaning your stencils right after because it'll be way easier, or whether they've been there for months and months, which the other stencils are, and it all works with this way of cleaning the stencils. It's even important when you're getting to know your stencils, putting different color combinations together, using different colors, and seeing what the stencil looks like with the different colors. Sometimes that just gives you different ideas. Right now, at the beginning, I did the cool colors, the blues, the purple, the green, and now I'm on the warm colors with the orange and yellows and reds. And I'm just getting a colored base so that I could add some of this interesting patterning from the stencils on top. As I said at the beginning, these stencils are Julie Fay-Fan Balzer stencils with the Crafters Workshops. They were part of the Winter 2019 release in January. If they're not in your favorite crafting store, ask for them and hopefully they'll be able to bring them in. Also subscribe to my channel. I will be using these stencils in a multitude of ways and showing you all the variations of how you can use the stencils in your art. Art journaling pages, mixed media. Love the color combination here, the mixing of colors. I learned how to blend colors and mix colors from gel printing. You throw the colors down because you're not really thinking, you're focused on other things, and you put the colors down, and when you come up with a color combination that you like, it makes another color it's just great. write that down and remember, and then do it on purpose. This stencil is called Love Frame, and I kept the gel prints of this one fairly simple. I'm just using the shelf liner here to make some pattern inside the heart. And you will see these at the end. This one where I'm pulling off the paint actually gets pushed way back into the background. But it still makes its presence known in the final gel print. Again, too much paint, and I just get it off. If it turns into something nice like this, and because there's enough paint, great. If not, it's just added one more layer that you're adding to an interesting piece. Now, I just want to remind you, this is the way that I do gel printing. And every time I do it, if I'm working with stencils or mark making tools or different things, I approach it differently. And it's just my way. It's not the way, it's our way. Some people make art with the stencils and they have the actual pictures develop. I'm using it mostly to create my own collage papers. Loving the black through there, thinking that's going to look awesome on my teacups and coffee cup project. But you can't go wrong with the stark contrast. So I have the blue one, which is nice enough as it is, but then I add this very light layer of black, and now it just sings. There's just so much interest on this. Great instant background. Now I have all this grunge, and I think, I'm going to grab this iridescent gold and see what happens, because the gold is going to be behind the black, and I'm hoping to get a very grunge look, which I do. And then you can see some of that Texture Love stencil still picking through, but a very light version of it. Love the shine on this. And you can, in real life, you can see very faint images of the Texture Love stencil. And then I decide that I'm going to mix the iridescent gold with the raspberry sorbet. And I'm hoping to get more of a corally color. I don't, but I do like the effect that I end up with. And remember, if you're using your gel prints as a background for your ATC and iCAD, you may be ATC, iCAD, Art Journal page. If you're using it on smaller things, you can select which part of it you like for the background. And if you are using it as collage papers that you're going to rip up, they really take on a life of their own once you rip them up. So even a gel print that you may not like at this stage is going to actually look amazing within that. So this one is called Plaid Fringe, and you can pull it through and you get these squares coming through, which I absolutely love. And here I've done gold. And then you have more the plaid print when you do the pull of it. That one still, I don't like it as it is, and you'll see that at the end, how that one ends up. It takes quite a trip. So blueberry pie is very similar to an ultramarine blue. And you have some of the orange peeking through, which looks amazing. I could love the background just as it is, but of course I'm going to add more to it. I want to add some more gold, hints of gold on some of my existing prints. So I'm using the plaid fringe, and it's just adding those little flecks, those little squares of gold on it, which look awesome. And I think they're going to look really good on the projects that I do and how I art. I like having a little bit of gold on something, and if it doesn't, I often splatter on it afterwards. So why not do it right now? It's a very subtle pattern, but it's there, and in the right light, it really shows off. I think I mixed it with the grape jelly here. And this is stencils called Fantastical. And I'm applying this big bold pattern on backgrounds that I already had. And I'm loving it. You have a bit of that contrast. It stands up. It's going to look absolutely lovely for my teacups and coffee cups or as a, ready-made background. Loving this one. Now this background, I had a base color and then I did some stamping with some of my mark making tools. That's what you're seeing there. And I will put a link to the videos where I show how to use all my various mark making tools. I have a whole series, I think there's 5 videos, and give you lots of ideas of how you can enhance your gel printing. Now I love with orange and purple. Who would have thunk it? I mean, I've always been a purple person. Combining orange with it is new to me, but when they go together, they make this burnt orange that I just love the depth of it. And the grape jelly and the orange slice, I think it's called, um, work equally well. They just work so well. So when I have the crusty bits of the purple, I'm pulling it off and you can see it through the orange, and it just makes for a very interesting gel print. So now I'm adding white there, and I'm bringing the Fantastical stencil back, and I'm going to put this on a colored background. Instead of going stark contrast, I went with the white. You still have some contrast, but it's a little more subtle. And I'm really seeing all the detail of the stencil when I'm putting paint through it, when I'm using it during this process. And then I pull a second because there's still more paint. Kind of a ghost print to pull through. And there's the first pull. I don't get it all off, but what I got, I love. And I can see, again, using that in my art. So I take my gel prints and I sort them by color, and they go in my big blue box filing system by color. And I have, I have full sheets in one place and I have partial sheets in another place. And that's how I store them. And I'll put a link to that video. And so when I want a color, I just open up the file folder. Here I'm just using a mark making tool. It's actually a Lego base. And I'm stamping on just to add a little bit more detail because I had a big white spot there because I didn't pull off the whole print. So I just wanted to add some interest. Then I'm just adding more details. And dash triangles is a good one to add. Pulling the paint through, you can get all those triangles and the circles or dashes in the middle going. So right away, I'm going to show you a review of this gel prints that I created. Some of them have some additional stamps from my mark making tools, but stay tuned and let me know which ones you like the best. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. So as promised, we're going to go through most of the gel prints that were created in the video that you just watched. And so this one uses dash triangle. And we just have, you know, lots of different versions, depending if it was a pull through the stencil print, where in the layer it was. This one was kind of in the back, and then we've also added some of my mark making tools on it just to add just one more layer, but you can definitely see the dash triangles in here. Here's more this, you got the center, the little ovals that were in the center of that. So everyone is different even though, and depending on the background color, you know, some are more complex and have more layers, some don't, and that's okay. This one I used some big bubble wrap that also came in the box with the Crafters Workshop when they sent me. But you got that, and you also have, I believe, Faithful Tree in there. So here's another one that's very simple, but it was a pull-off print and then it was a pull-through print. This one has a lot of very fine thing. This was when everything was almost done and we pulled it off or put a layer on it. And it just adds that little bit of interest. Let's see if I can zoom in here without getting blurry. Not too much. And again, this one, you know, there's some yellow in there. And at one point in time, this was a failed gel print. And you just keep adding those layers. So these ones are very simple. I've kept them simple because I love them the way they are. This was the love frame. And, you know, this was pulled through the stencil and you can see it underneath. I've added layers, but you can definitely see that love frame stencil picking through. That's where I pulled the paint through the stencil and then added other layers. And then here is where I put the wet stencil on it, and then this was the actual print. And so you get kind of a reverse mirror image. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. So this one uses plaid fringe. And plaid, you know, whether it's pulling the paint through the stencils, and it's on different backgrounds with different colors, so it gives you ideas. I just love it. Putting it on this grunge background. We got a little bit of dash triangle peeking through here, so you have more than one. Oops. Now this one I used a stamp as well, but you have the plaid fringe gel print on top of the colors. So you have lots of interest. There you can see kind of the shimmer, very subtle way of adding. And this one has a little bit of the gold that has the plaid fringe on it, just adding that little bit of detail. That's going to be a favorite of mine. Now this was the stone increase. Remember the one where I had the pink and I put the kale smoothie on it and I didn't like it and I kept adding? I ended up putting a layer of this very light blue on, and you can still see, the shadow of the stone increase through it. I love this effect because now I can, you know, do some doodling around that. It's there, but it's not there. Here it is in the background. We have Fantastical on top, but you can see stone increase is again in the background. And this one has the faithful tree as well as bubble wrap. But I did want to show that because most of the ones with the faithful tree, I just ended up going over those layers. This one is with script words, and you can see, you know, you kind of have these hieroglyphics going through. I mean, look at that. You can just see the script here. It's just gorgeous. And just different color combinations. I love them all. I think they're going to work really well. This was just pulling it through the stencil. Here it's very much, this was grunged, you know, the crusty bits of the words were still on there and you can see it coming through. And again, this one, loving it with, you know, the black on top of, there's, can you see the dashed triangle? You can see some of the ovals, there's the triangles. Again, you have lots of layers, so you're not using just one stencil. And this one I love too, and you can see some of the script words in there, oh so faint. But they're there, and they make the prints. So this is the stencil Texture Love. So much gorgeousness in here. Can't wait to use this. You know, just black on a colored background. Mixing the paint. This was a cleanup print, and you can see some of that Texture Love is there that's picked up. But look at that shimmer of that iridescent gold. Ooh. And again, just the red and the last one I have here is Fantastical. Now this, I used that stencil pretty much on papers that were already colored. They had some layers of interest in there, including some of my stamping with my mark making tools. But I absolutely love these. You know, you can take a white gel pen and go around that. I think they're going to work exceptionally well for my coffee cups and teacups project. The dots here, that was the shelf liner. This was just on colored paper. But you see how once you have the base coat, base color underneath, putting the stencil on top, beautiful. You can slap a sentiment on here and a focal point and you've got a gorgeous background. Love the color combo in this, going white. And you just got a little bit of grunge because that was there. And then this one. So thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, like the video, share it with your creative friends, and leave me a comment. Love to hear from you. Bye for now.